The geopolitical landscape is once again shaken by dramatic developments as reports confirm a major disaster at a Caspian Sea port, where a cargo ship carrying Iranian-made drones bound for Russia erupted in a massive explosion. This incident is raising serious questions about Moscow's reliance on Tehran for military supplies, the safety of such shipments, and the broader implications for the ongoing conflict in Ukraine and regional stability. According to early intelligence assessments, the cargo vessel was loaded with a significant shipment of Shahid series drones, the same unmanned aerial vehicles that have become infamous for their use in Russian strikes across Ukraine. These drones, relatively inexpensive yet effective, have been a cornerstone of Russia's asymmetric warfare strategy. However, the Caspian port disaster has thrown Russia's logistical chain into turmoil, exposing vulnerabilities in its reliance on Iran's drone technology. Eyewitnesses at the port described a deafening blast, followed by plumes of black smoke that engulfed nearby facilities. Some accounts suggest multiple secondary explosions, hinting at the presence of a large number of explosive components aboard the ship. Initial reports estimate that dozens of drones were destroyed, and several port workers have been injured, with authorities yet to confirm the exact casualties. The damage to the port infrastructure is said to be significant, potentially delaying further shipments and complicating maritime operations in the Caspian Sea. This incident comes at a time when Russia has been intensifying its military campaign in Ukraine, relying heavily on Iranian drones to supplement its own dwindling missile stocks. Analysts have long noted that Russia's defense industry is struggling to keep pace with the demands of the war, making imports from allies like Iran a vital lifeline. The destruction of such a large shipment is not only a financial setback but also a major blow to Russia's operational planning. Military experts argue that it could disrupt upcoming offensives that Moscow had been preparing. Iran, for its part, has remained tight-lipped about the disaster. Official statements from Tehran neither confirm nor deny the shipment's purpose, sticking instead to vague comments about commercial maritime activity. However, it is no secret that Iran has been supplying drones to Russia, despite international criticism and concerns that such cooperation fuels the war in Europe. Tehran's silence in the face of this catastrophe suggests deep embarrassment and possible fear of backlash, both domestically and internationally. The timing of the explosion could not be worse for both Moscow and Tehran. Russia is seeking to project strength as it braces for another winter of heavy fighting in Ukraine, while Iran is under increasing pressure from Western sanctions and scrutiny over its role in global conflicts. The disaster highlights the dangers of transporting advanced weaponry in bulk, especially through volatile regions like the Caspian Sea, where oversight and security remain questionable. Western governments, particularly in Washington and European capitals, have seized on the news to underscore the risks of Moscow's partnership with Tehran. Officials argue that the explosion demonstrates the recklessness of this alliance and reinforces the urgent need to cut off Russia's access to foreign weaponry. Some lawmakers have already called for tighter sanctions targeting the networks facilitating these transfers, aiming to cripple both countries' military cooperation. Ukraine, meanwhile, has welcomed the news with cautious optimism. Ukrainian officials, while stopping short of claiming any involvement, described the disaster as a consequence of Russia's illegal actions and emphasized that every drone lost means fewer attacks on Ukrainian cities. For Kyiv, the destruction of the shipment offers a much-needed reprieve from relentless drone strikes that have targeted energy infrastructure and civilian areas. The incident could give Ukraine more breathing room to strengthen its air defenses ahead of the winter season, when Russia traditionally escalates attacks on critical facilities. Military analysts are divided on the cause of the blast. Some suggest it may have been an accident, possibly the result of mishandling explosive materials or technical faults aboard the ship. Others hint at the possibility of sabotage, noting the precision and intensity of the explosion. The Caspian Sea has long been a region of strategic intrigue, with multiple powers vying for influence, and the idea of a covert operation to disrupt Russia's supply lines cannot be entirely dismissed. If sabotage is confirmed, it would signal a new phase in the shadow war being waged around the conflict in Ukraine. The disaster also exposes deeper flaws in Russia's logistical strategy. By depending so heavily on foreign partners for critical weapons, Moscow risks vulnerability not just on the battlefield but also in transit. Every shipment becomes a potential target, and every mishap weakens the credibility of Russia's military apparatus. In contrast, Ukraine has benefited from a steady flow of Western aid, with supplies arriving through relatively secure channels and robust international coordination. Economically, the loss of such a shipment is significant. Each Shahed drone costs tens of thousands of dollars, and with potentially dozens destroyed in the blast, Russia and Iran face millions in losses. More importantly, the symbolic impact is enormous. The image of a destroyed drone shipment underlines the fragility of Russia's war machine, which relies on patched-together imports rather than self-sufficiency. For Iran, it risks exposing the dangers of openly backing Moscow's war while its own economy is buckling under sanctions. On the ground, the Caspian port where the blast occurred is now under heavy security, with investigators combing through the wreckage to determine the exact cause. Footage circulating online shows containers reduced to rubble, twisted metal, and smoldering debris scattered across the waterfront. Local residents, many of whom initially thought the port was under attack, remain shaken by the scale of the explosion. Authorities have restricted access to the area, fueling speculation that the true extent of the damage may be worse than officially acknowledged. Looking ahead, the disaster raises serious questions about the future of Russia-Iran cooperation. Will Tehran continue to risk large-scale shipments in the wake of such a catastrophe? Will Moscow rethink its dependence on foreign drones and accelerate domestic production instead? Or will both countries double down, determined to overcome setbacks and strengthen their alliance in defiance of Western pressure? For now, the incident is a stark reminder of the unpredictable nature of modern warfare and the high stakes involved in global power struggles. A single explosion at a port on the Caspian Sea has reverberated across continents, weakening Russia's war effort, embarrassing Iran, and emboldening Ukraine and its allies. It underscores the fact that wars are not only fought on the battlefield but also in supply chains, alliances, and the delicate balance of global politics. As investigations continue, the world will be watching closely for answers. Whether the Caspian port explosion was an accident, sabotage, or a combination of both, one thing is clear: Russia's reliance on Iranian drones has just suffered a devastating setback, and the implications will be felt far beyond the Caspian shores.